When I saw the 5.0 trailer, I immediately reinstalled Genshin Impact. There are many interesting things that make me interested in Natlan, but among all of them, the main interest is in Capitano. From design, voice, aura, everything is perfect. Coupled with the other Harbinger's interest in him being powerful and honorable, I couldn't wait to see Capitano. But as the quest progressed, to be honest, I, who used to praise Capitano, felt more and more disappointed and surprised by him. My initial expectation was that Capitano, apart from being based on past stories, strong, honorable, etc., would also be one of the most loyal people to Tsaritsa. But unfortunately, it turned out to be the opposite. It felt like Fatui was just his stepping stone. In 5.0, Capitano lost against Mavuika, and even worse, he ran away with Auroran before he had a chance to release his second form like all the other Harbinger. But I get it. Maybe Hoyo needed to give Mavuika a stage because she was going to be released first, so Capitano had to be nerfed. Think of it like Sasuke in Boruto, who often runs out of chakra. The goal is so that Boruto, Sarada, and friends can shine. If Sasuke is not nerfed, Boruto and friends will not get the spotlight. That's why, for me, it's just a matter of time and moment until Capitano can show his full power and second form, which is usually marked by becoming a weekly boss. Throughout 5.1 to 5.2, I don't think anything is interesting. There are indeed a lot of lore bombs, but unfortunately, the storytelling is uninteresting and unemotional. I won't discuss this more because my main point here is about Capitano, not the overall story in Natlan. And in 5.3, instead of being elevated to make him look interesting, Capitano was dropped even further. Self-sacrifice for the sake of greater and broader benefits, in my opinion, is a good thing. It fits with his nature, which has always been framed as an honorable figure. But the problem is, Capitano is Fatui Harbinger number 1, not a Natlan warrior, and not a Kainraya warrior because of his former status. He is a vassal of Tsaritsa, not Mavuika or King Ermin. His country and home are in Snezhnaya, not Natlan, not Kainraya. His current living companion was in Fatui, not Natlan, and not Kainraya either. But for some reason, Capitano is completely ignorant of his duties as a Fatui Harbinger. If Capitano's status was changed to the leader of an organization in the middle of nowhere, not as Harbinger number 1, nothing would change. Because the status of Harbinger number 1 in story 5.0 to 5.3 is really just a patch. The plot. Capitano has been revered by his colleagues for years as the strongest. Nahida even says he's equal to a god, though we don't know which one. Tsaritsa orders Capitano to come to Natlan to get Gnosis. He finally appeared in the game, only to lose his first match. Failed to get Gnosis. It turns out that Tsaritsa gave options, especially to the Fatui Harbinger, and Capitano, in his mind, the matter of Snezhnaya, Tsaritsa, and all matters as a Harbinger can be taken care of later. The important thing is that I can help Natlan, Mavuika is happy, and I can avenge my birthplace to Renova. Everything Capitano did from 5.0 to 5.3 was completely unrelated to Fatui. In 5.3, it's obvious that Hoyo wanted to make Capitano memorable. There are many scenes that make his heroic figure look noble. And it seems that Hoyo has succeeded. There are so many players who sympathize with Capitano. But for me, not at all. Remember that Capitano's heroism only looks good in the eyes of Natlan residents and his colleagues, spirits, in Kainria. To Fatui? Of course not. Because again, the story building that Hoyo has been building for years is that Capitano is a Fatui Harbinger, not as a Natlan or Kainraya warrior, and this is also what makes his name and popularity increase dramatically. If his status as the number 1 Harbinger was revoked, how many people would be interested in Capitano? His hype would definitely drop drastically. And as an honorable figure who is used as a role model by his colleagues in Fatui, what Capitano did in Natlan for me was not an honorable act at all when viewed from the perspective of his position as Harbinger number 1. Capitano, who should have been the spearhead for his colleagues, instead neglected his duty to take Gnosis. He himself even negotiated with Tsaritsa to fail his duty. It's okay that he lost against Mavwika and failed to get Gnosis on the first try, but it can still be attempted in other ways, for example through negotiations, exchanges, or others. Like Arlecchino, for example, she understands that Fontaine is protected by Sovereign and can't win, and she also cares about Fontaine, so she chooses to help Fontaine while negotiating Gnosis. Her acts benefit both Fontaine and Snezhnaya. Maybe it's a little difficult for Capitano to do that because he is constrained by the stereotype of his honorable nature. Some players might consider him insincere if he has to negotiate first to help Natlan, especially in Natlan's position, which is already pressed. But still, there's professionalism as Harbinger number 1 and nationalism as a citizen of Snezhnaya, both of which cannot be ignored. Capitano sacrificed himself so that Mavwika could live a prosperous life. But what benefits did it bring to Snezhnaya? Being a military officer, but at the end of his life helping other countries, the objective of his own country is even ignored. I can understand if the one who came to Natlan was child. He was young, his rank was also below, and his colleagues also didn't put a lot of expectations on him. Maybe it was still understandable if his attitude was disorganized and preferred to act outside the original purpose. But for someone as caliber as Capitano, that doesn't make sense to me at all. Even if you look at the actions of all the Harbingers, all of them have successfully done their job to take Gnosis. Signora got 2, Animo plus Geo, Child got Geo, Skara got Electro, Dottore got Dendro, Arlecchino got Hydro. Only Capitano failed to get Gnosis. Imagine that the one who has been given the most interest and praise, said to be the strongest, is the first to fail. Seriously, this plot is really weird. I don't know if he will rise again or not, but Capitano's story so far for me is really messed up. All the expectations that have been built up over the years just fell flat. Called honorable, not really because he ignored his own position and country. Remember, Capitano has lived hundreds of years in Snezhnaya, so this is not a stopover country, said to be the strongest, not really because Arlecchino looks stronger. It's very different from Dottore or Arlecchino, whose appearance is really impactful, especially for both countries. Many people say that Capitano's presence in Natlan is just a plot device for Mavwika, and unfortunately, I have to agree. From the way he lost without going all in and running away in the first battle so that Mavwika looked stronger, the way he held back during the war so that Mavwika could show off as a one-punch woman and take all the spotlight, the way he sacrificed so that players would stop hoping for Capitano and gotcha Mavwika, and most importantly, the way he sacrificed so that Mavwika's destiny could be saved and her banner could be sold by Hoyo. Everything is aimed at increasing Mavwika's interest. I swear I'm confused by Capitano's way of thinking. His Archon is Tsaritsa, not Mavwika. Why did he defend Mavwika to such an extent? His loyalty to Mavwika is unbreakable, but for Tsaritsa, who is his Archon? I didn't see anything at all. My prediction is that the main reason for Capitano's lack of interest in getting Gnosis might have something to do with the next region, Nod Cry. Hoyo needs more time to stall Tsaritsa's objective, which has been very aggressive in gathering Gnosis, because if Capitano succeeds, it means Tsaritsa's objective has also succeeded because it is the last Gnosis. And of course, there will be a new lore bomb that might be the biggest because of the super long build-up, which will bring Archon Quest closer to the main lore related to Celestia or Abyss. But unfortunately, they still want to milk the player longer, so Capitano is made ignorant, and we have to play filler areas first, before getting to Snezhnaya. In the end, Capitano is a character whose story is forced to be ruined because he is a victim of a plot device. The only thing that makes me odd about Capitano's unreasonable and ignorant actions is the info from Fatui in Mondstadt. According to them, Tsaritsa until now still maintains Capitano's position as rank 1, for whatever reason. Tsaritsa also even approved Capitano's plan. Renova is one of the four shades, and fighting Renova could potentially anger Celestia, similar to what Focalor did. Is it possible that Tsaritsa really has a goal to fight Celestia? This question may only be answered in 7.x. But clearly, for me, for now, Capitano's story in 5.0 to 5.3 is really lacking.